Welcome back to Hey Kentucky. The football season is getting ready to start. Fingers crossed. I'm very optimistic about it. And to talk more about it, we've got Curtis Birch from the UK Sports Network and the host of Behind Kentucky Football, the podcast. Hey, Curtis, how are you?
I'm great. Excited for football as well.
Yeah, first of all, we're partners now, so that's a good thing.
Definitely. I'm ecstatic about the partnership and was so happy to see BBN game day on Saturday.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm so glad to get started as well. Let's switch to the podcast though, Behind Kentucky Football, where you kind of go in depth with individual players, and this week is AJ Rose. We're all expecting some pretty big things from AJ.
Yeah, he's a guy, who's been on the scene for so long. It's kind of crazy that this is going to be his final season. But he's excited about his senior season. And the one thing that we were talking about was what he was looking to improve on the most. And I think that the dynamic of him coming out of the backfield, something he worked on a ton in the summer. And he's excited to show that on the field this season. So he's an exciting guy and is so dynamic. I've talked to him about some of the plays that he'd made over the past couple of years. And when you look back through his highlights, he's impressive. And it's gonna be fun to see what he does during his senior season.
He is impressive, but so are Kavosiey Smoke, Chris Rodriguez. The backfield is pretty loaded for Kentucky. Is there a lot of friendly competition going on?
Yeah, and that's something I talked to him about, and actually you're giving a little preview. Kavosiey and Chris Rodriguez are scheduled to be the next guests on the podcast, so we'll get the full view of that. But AJ Rose said that everybody's working to be the starter. They all obviously want the most carries, and they want to be the person who gets the honor of being the starter for the team. But it isn't like a cutthroat competition. They're all working together. They know they're on the same team. So they all try to make each other better. So it's a positive competition overall for that group. And I mean, when you got a guy leading that room like Eddie Gran, he's not going to put up with any nonsense.
Now, AJ did mention that Kentucky's been sort of thought of over the past couple of years as a one-dimensional offense. And I think that's less out of necessity and more out of just personnel. I mean, you've had Benny Snell, you've got this offensive line that's dominant. And of course, last year you have to have Lynn Bowden back there at quarterback for the majority of the season. So there's a reason for running the ball so much. Does he see that changing at all? Do you?
Yeah, I think he definitely did, and I do as well. That's something that they've all been talking about as an offense as a whole. They realized that last season was just so unusual for so many reasons. They made the switch to Lynn Bowden because of so many injuries, but completely embraced that way of playing because it works so well. And Lynn's such an amazing talent that it would be silly not to take advantage of it when you had the chance to. But this year, it seems like everyone is completely buying into Terry Wilson. Coach Stoops is talking about how he looks so comfortable back in the pocket. Landon Young talked this weekend about Terry Wilson being confident again when he gets back in the pocket. And I mean, you mentioned the big blue wall there, the offensive line. He's got reasons to be confident with so many great guys blocking for him. And that also transitions to the running game. And so that's why I think all these running backs are so confident as well.
They are probably going to have to be doing a little bit more blocking for someone other than Lynn this year as well, because you mentioned Terry looking more comfortable in the pocket. And I think the receiving core is ready to make the next step.
Yeah, all those guys, you got a bunch of upperclassmen, a bunch of guys who've put in a lot of experience, guys who have, stuck with the program despite them having the reputation of not throwing it a ton and last year not being able to throw it a ton because you're moving Lynn Bowden, a quarterback. But Clevan Thomas, Josh Ali showed what they could do last season. And now when you have more of a traditional guy in Terry Wilson back there that's going to be able to get them the ball more often, I think that they're going to really have great seasons. But the great thing about Terry Wilson is he also has that running ability. So in theory, they should maybe have one less defender trying to cover them and maybe worrying about Terry. So you can kind of get the best of both worlds.
Hey, we'll take it. Curtis, thank you so much. Check out Behind Kentucky Football wherever you get your podcasts, as they say.
Thank you.
All right, more Hey Kentucky right after this.